Hi guys, and welcome back to the Keijo Styles Hair Show. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I do a Jennifer Aniston inspired haircut, which is basically going to be long layers with some good face framing. So let's get to it. I'm going to be doing her perimeter cut right here, where I bring all of the hair towards the back and then I bring it all towards the middle back and then cut it. Don't ask me why I do this. This is just how I've started to cut, and I actually really like it. For some reason, I feel like I get better symmetry this way. And then I do like a slight part down the middle and bring everything to the corners of the shoulder, and then I'm going to just be taking off any corners here. One tip that I always give, especially when cutting this type of haircut, is to always be point cutting. Cutting horizontally is not going to be your friend during this haircut for two reasons. One, because this is a dry haircut, and any mistake that you make can and will be used against you in the court of law. So point cutting is going to be key. Another reason why I don't blunt cut just straight across is because it creates a lot of weight. Point cutting is going to save you a lot of time texturing with your texturizing scissors and also just not creating a bunch of weight. So we're going to continue on. Right here I'm just pulling the hair right over the shoulder, taking off any corners, making sure that everything is even, and just point cutting into those ends. Right here, we're going to be starting face framing. This is where consultation is key. I always have my clients show me with their hands where they want their face framing to start. She came in saying that she wanted curtain bangs, and after talking with her for a few minutes, we discussed and discovered that she actually just wanted some shorter face framing pieces. So always make sure that you're having very clear consultations with your clients before you cut anything off. So what I'm going to do here is I pulled that bang area right in front of her down to her chin, and then I point cut straight across, and now I'm over directing each side, and I'm going to be shaving off the tails of each of those. So I'm going to use the bottom of the hairline as my guide, and I'm going to be over directing, as you guys can see, and then I'm going to be point cutting that tail end of it off. Here's where I'm going to be starting my slide cutting, which is where I'm going to be slithering down on her face framing area. This is where you got to be careful not to get too scissor happy so you don't create a mullet type of look. So always make sure that you're bringing the hair forward, making sure that you're not cutting off too much, and then also checking for corners. You're always going to be able to have a corner down at that very bottom, so that's why I'm always bringing the hair forward to make sure I'm getting those corners and making sure that nothing looks too much like a shelf. Sometimes when you're having face framing, you have a problem with cutting where you leave too much of a shelf and it's not as cohesive. So it's important to bring all of that hair forward and make sure that you're cutting off any corners or shelves and making sure everything is really nice and really blended. So I'm going to do that to this side, and then I'm going to repeat to the other side. Alright, so here is where we're going to start taking some of the weight off of the bottom over here now that we've cut a few inches off of the bottom. As you can see here, there's a little bit of a tail right there. I'm bringing my arm up to about a 40 to 50 degree angle. I'm cutting with my point cutting form, so that way the sides of the hair are going to be more jaggedy at the ends. So I'm going to just do that, and I'm kind of going to be splitting the hair into about 4 to 6 quadrants depending on the head shape, and then I'm going to just be taking small vertical quadrants, bringing that out slightly angled to wherever the head is, and then I'm going to be pulling the hair back down, making sure that there is symmetry there, making sure that there's no disconnection, and making sure that there's no shelves. So again, I'm just going to be pulling out, and you guys can see there's a little bit of a tail there, so I'm just going to be point cutting into that, making sure those ends are jagged. It's just so that way there is a really nice seamless blend. And here, I'm going to be taking where the veil is of the head, or the crown is, and I'm going to be bringing that all backwards, more of like a horizontal parting, and then I'm going to be flipping up the ends of that like this. And as I'm going to be doing that, there is always a little bit of a tail at the end, so I'm just going to be point cutting into that. I don't know why, but there's always some weight at the back of the head where that's at, so getting that horizontal parting and bringing that all the way back really helps me make sure that I'm cross-checking to make sure that there is a really nice blend, that there isn't any shelving going on. And then right here, what I'm going to be doing is starting my invisible layer, which is going to be me slithering down into the hair. This just creates a lot of movement in the hair. I started doing this with extension clients and then realized that it creates such a good way to get texture and volume in your hair. So I've been doing it on all of my clients when I give them haircuts as well. And what this does is it creates layers that really don't even look like layers. They're really, really thin layers, so it doesn't really look like they're there, but it gives the client so much texture and tons of body. So next time you're doing a haircut, try this invisible layer. It's a little bit scary at first, so don't get too scissor happy with it. You definitely can go overboard with it, but I've really enjoyed implementing this into my haircuts, and all of my clients have been very, very happy.
Only place I wanna be, on location. I'm curbside pimping, bottles tipping, lemonade sipping, rolling paper, swishes splitting, let it burn, light it.
And here is where your good friend texturizing shears come into play. Even with your normal shears, I feel like you always create weight no matter how much you point cut. So texturizing shears really do save the day. I know the angle is a little hard to see with my arms, but I do and am going in vertically with these shears, point cutting. Even though these are texturizing shears and they're not going to cut off a ton, there still is a possibility to get unwanted lines and weight with texturizing shears, so I always make sure I'm going in vertically. And as you guys can see right now, it's already just removed so much weight, so always go through after. It's basically just like an extra insurance to kind of help everything blend out. A lot of the times, if I've ever fixed a haircut, it's just because the stylist didn't texturize their hair properly and the right way, and there's still a lot of weight. So don't be afraid to use your texturizing shears. I would always just suggest use them at a vertical angle and point cut versus using them at a horizontal angle. So I'm just going to go around the hair and around the ends and kind of create some movement, and then also create some texture. Alright, so as you guys can see, there's lots of movement in her hair. There's some of those longer layers towards the bottom. Those invisible layers are doing their job, giving her lots of body and lots of volume. She really loved this cut. Again, the face framing was great. Everything looked really nice and cohesive and blended. It looked great curled, and even better, it looks amazing straight. So that is something that I always strive for with all of my haircuts, is that they can wear their hair straight really nicely, and they can wear it curled, crimped, however you do it. That's always my goal. So anyways, you guys, that's it for me for this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me out, and I will see you guys on the next video.